Alexia and the Catie Mixup confusion. It was springtime on the island of New Florida, and the trains on the tracks were being really useful and friendly while they did their work. Amtrak was doing its job by taking passengers to big cities around the country and continent, which was led by an ACL 42 engine, which is one of the new Amtrak locomotives in the United States and Canada. One early afternoon, Alexia, the woman train, was delivering a load of cardboard boxes to Nothing. She arrived on time. "Now then, Alexia," Mr. Cakester said, "I'm having you work with all these engines today." "Sounds like a plan, sir," Alexia said, "but there's two Caties." "I know that, but you have to work with these engines." Allie was shunted over to Catie's seat, and Alexia, Allie, Catie, Alexia, and Kirsten steamed out of the yard. A few minutes later, the 6 engines arrived in the yard to collect their freight train. The troublesome trucks were troublesome. "Here we go," Alexia said to Allie, Catie, and the others. Just then, a big purple commuter train came into view. It was the MBTA commuter rail. It was on its way to South Station in Boston. It had single-decker coaches and double-decker coaches. It was being really useful. In the coach seats, the passengers sat quietly, and Alexia, Allie, Catie, Kirsten, and Alexia steamed by with their freight train. It was massive. On, faster, laughed the trucks, and then they laughed and laughed. It was a long train. But the freight cars were full, and the train rolled its way down the line. The freight cars were loaded with lots of stuff, like hazardous materials and lots of non-hazardous materials. The train was massive. But the commuter rail carried on. As they were over the bridge, the 2 locomotives facing in both directions went by, and on top of the tank car, everyone saw the whole train way ahead. "I'll play shave and a haircut 2 bits when we go over a crossing," Alexia said to the 5 engines. The troublesome trucks were being troublesome. There you have it. Then a green subway locomotive came into view, and it was the Green Line. "I don't see that every week," Alexia said. When they went into the countryside, the troublesome trucks were being troublesome and they began to sing to the engines. They've been working on the railroad. Henry's up ahead. They've been working on the railroad because we're really fun. We're really useful boxcars and we're doing our job. Then Henry was up ahead. He was pulling the flying kipper. It was a long train. Then there was trouble. Henry's engine began to come faulty and flames began to puff out of his funnel. My goodness, he gasped. I'm starting to feel sick. Then there was trouble. He stopped at the points. I'm going to throw up, Henry said grossly. And he did! It was gross, but Henry stayed on the tracks and his boiler fluid went right onto the rails and triggered the points. Henry had a stomach problem, Alexia said. Her driver slammed on the emergency brakes, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but some of the freight cars had jumped off the tracks, derailing the passing passenger train and a lot of freight. Alexia had toppled over with all of Henry's body fluid on her body. This is gross, she said. A few minutes later, the substitute passenger train arrived and picked everyone up, and it continued on to its destination. After the wreck was cleaned up, Henry was being repaired from being nauseous, and the trains on the tracks were being really useful once more. Women trains can do their job a lot, but they just can't run over gross things on the track, because that would trigger their wheels and seize them up. A few minutes later, Thomas was at the gender hub. He had brought Henry for repairs. I'm sorry to hear that Henry vomited, Thomas said. That was gross, but you handled it. Good, thanks for owning up, Thomas, Shelley said. Everyone cheered up, and they only hoped not to have gross things again.